Okej hörni, både ni som är i rummet men också ni som följer oss via livestreamen. Hjärtligt välkomna tillbaka till Trappan-scenen. Vi har en programpunkt som kommer att vara på engelska. Innan den så skulle jag vilja skicka ut i cyberrymden och till er som är här att vi behöver volontärer till paraden. Om ni är intresserade av att vara volontärer på paraden, då ska ni gå in på West Prides hemsida och anmäla er där. Och det kommer finnas uppgifter via hemsidan om hur ni gör. Okej. I switch to English because we have a next punkt, a dot, as we say in Swedish. It's about LGBT culture and history, promoting democracy and equality. And if you in the audience wants to ask a question, you can do so in the commentary section of our live stream, or if you're here at Trappscenen, just raise your hand and we will take your question when it's time. Okay. We welcome to the stage Tupelak. It stands for Nordic Rainbow Culture Workers and also ILGCN, International Rainbow Culture Network, to the stage. Welcome, take it away.
Thank you very much. My name is Bill Schiller. I've been working with both organizations for a long time. I would like to say there'll be time to tell you what a Tupilak is, but it's a killer, a voodoo figure. I'll tell you later. The question is culture and history. Who cares about culture and history? We gotta do legislation. We gotta run forward. Why shall we look backwards? Because the people who do not have culture and history have no presence and have no future. What if I told you you have no culture? You have no history. You've made no contribution to your nation's identity. So why should you have any rights? Why should you have any respect? And that's how it is today in half the world. There is no LGBT culture in half the world. There is no history in half the world. You saw the news yesterday, didn't you? Disney film forbidden in Saudi Arabia and many other countries in the Middle East because there was a lesbian kiss. Not a lesbian sex, not an orgy, a kiss. And the film was banned. And then today the police went to the shops where they sell toys and hats. Anything that had a rainbow color was forbidden because they thought this rainbow hat band could somehow create lots of lesbians, trans, and gays. So they confiscated all this. Half the world, Eastern Europe, many places have no history and have no culture. You have to remember what Russia said when people said Tchaikovsky, the famous composer, we think he was homosexual. Russia said, no, we have no homosexuals in Russia, or China, or Iran. We don't have any. Oh yeah, there was one, Oscar Wilde, but he was sent to jail, so we didn't care about him. If you don't have powerful people from your past, from your history, from your culture, people who have won Nobel Prizes, like Selma Lagerlöf. If you don't have these people, Tove Jansson, who made lovely drawings of Moomin Troll, if you don't have these people, you're without a history, without a culture. So of course you have no bridge to the past, which is the bridge to the present and to the future. And if you think we're very good in the Nordic area, oh, Sweden is quite good. Not good enough. If we're 10% of the population, 10%, how many films about LGBT people are coming from the Film Institute each year? 10%? 5%? 1%? Once in a great while. We're not very good. How many singers do we have? Today we have some. Yesterday, we had none. So we're getting somewhere. How about books? Me and Lodal. Yes, we have one or two really good people, but we don't have 10% of the books coming out of the bookshops. We don't have 10%. Democracy means everybody. How many heroes, lesbian, trans, gays, are rolling in wheelchairs? None. How many are blind? None. We don't include. Finally, we include one or two immigrants, refugees. One or two in the television series. Not many. How many blacks? One or two, but not many. We're still way behind. And if I have time, I'm going to show you a film about LGBT monuments. Monuments? Who could care less about a monument? Is it a statue? Is it a monument? Is it a bridge? Is it a stone? Does it signify all of our history? Not just the Nazi time, but going back 2,000 years. How many nations have such monuments? In the Nordic area? None. Australia? America? Netherlands? Yes, but the Nordic area is a bit shy. We really don't respect our own history enough. Before I show you one little short film, I want to say this. I was interviewed a while back by a young man, a young journalist from QX. And he said, what are you doing with Pride, etc., etc., etc.? And I mentioned, you know, they used to arrest gays. He said, not in Sweden. They never did that in Sweden. Yeah, they used to execute gays. Not in Sweden. They never did that. Yes, until Gustav III decided to give gays, not women, because women never count, right? It's only men who count. Life imprisonment instead of execution, 1777. Life imprisonment instead of execution. And why is that? Because the churches, all of them, have executed more LGBT people than the Nazis over the centuries. Why? Because LGBT people were connected with the devil. And if the devil comes into your house, you gotta kill him. And if this farm boy has a little bit of sex with a sheep or a chicken or a cow or a horse, which many farm boys do, you gotta kill him, both the boy and the animal. For centuries in Sweden, you execute all those connected to the devil. And that's what happened. Let me show you a film with a famous actor, a famous musician, and a famous cartoonist, P.T. Anderson. Made lovely cartoon drawings. It's a couple of minutes long, and it's about a real case about people going to prison not so long ago. Can we see the first film, please?
Stockholms 1880-tal var det bostadsbrist och nöd. På fabriker och grosshandlar, firmor i stan fick man slita hårt för sitt bröd. Men så stod han där en dag med sin trasiga hatt och en halvtant trimmad mustasch. Och mitt hjärta slog volter, jag blev alldeles matt första gången jag fick syn på Lars. Han log och han frågade snällt och försynt om han fick följa med upp en sväng. Fast det var lite ovant så fick han en kyss och vi hamnade i samma säng. Mot naturen, det känns så rätt. Tekniken går ju framåt på alla sätt. Kinstugatan 9 och en madrass för 2. Där vi turades om och sätta på.
I de fattigas del av de härskande stad fick vi tag i ett eget krypin. Våra grannar begrep väl vad som stod på, men det var ingen som sa någonting. Varken de eller vännerna angav oss två. Ingen frågade varför och hur. Fastän lagen var tydlig, det kallades krasst för otukt mot vår natur. Mot naturen, men vad då för en natur? Såna saker gör ju till och med djur. Skinnstugatan 9 och en madrass för 2 i ett litet rum i en egen vrå.
Första maj med Palm och de andra till Gärdet där Kata höll tal. Det var flaggor i topp och en ljusnande tid där vi byggde vår egen moral.
Kata Dahlström sa att hon gav aldrig råd om kärlek och vad som går an. Men när hon reste bland rallarna såg hon ju män som kelade ömt med varann. Kärlek mellan män, men det känns så rätt. Kropparnas berusning bortom sans och vett. Kinstugatan 9, ingen av oss två kunde minnas vem som först kom på. När världen är iskall och jobbet för tungt får man finna tröst där man kan. Vi levde för kvällarna när vi kom hem och fick värme och kraft av varann.
I Ekbacken sa han en sen sommarkväll:
får man sätta på dig ett tag?
Det kan du väl få, svarar jag då, för det var ju hans tur idag.
Mot naturen bortom vett och sans, kropparnas berusning för mig och Frans. Såna brott kan man lätt begå i en skymningstimme som är blå.
Men i buskarna låg snokande fiender på lur, 2 gardister med servila maner. Lasse ställde sig upp och han sa som det var:
ja, vi knullar, vad angår det er? För det angick ju ingen att vi höll ihop, men de föste oss med till polis. Och vi fick några månaders fängelsestraff av en obildad borgarjustis.
Mot naturen, vem kunde tro att vi skulle gå över suckarnas bro och hamna i varsin ensam cell? Hur kan kärlek vara kriminell?
Man får ingenting gratis, och mitt i all fest är det viktigt att alla förstår. Står ni upp för er själva och hävdar er rätt, då går ni i våra spår.
För visst var det en strid och en hjälteinsats där vapnet var lust och passion.
Vi stod upp för oss själva, så blev vi en del av vår svenska revolttradition. Genom sekler hörs en refräng från 2 svettiga karlar i en säng. Kinstugatan 9 och en madrass för 2, där vi turades om att sätta på.
Sova lite ändå.
Nej.
A little bit of our history, Swedish history, when they put men in jail. And you say, you women are quite lucky, because most dictators, idiot politicians, never think of women. So they don't put you in jail the same way they do men. Romania did. They had a law, women and men should go to jail for same-sex sex. And the EU said you cannot join the EU unless you get rid of that law. No, we don't want to. Okay, we have to get rid of it. Stalin, when he came to power, You have to remember, we have a seminar in East Europe tomorrow. But remember the revolution in Russia, 1919. Freedom, democracy, homosex was free until Stalin came. And Stalin thought, oh no, we put the men in jail 5 years. He didn't think of women because most macho men never think of women because they don't believe they exist or somehow they're doing the housework or something. But it's true that you cannot have a democracy for some of the people, but not all of the people. Qatar is going to have a big football thing in the next month, right? You've read about it. Thousands are coming to Qatar. 5 years prison for gays if you don't get beaten to death on the street before. You cannot have a democracy and open for some, but the others are hanging from trees or in prison. There has to be a democracy for everyone, and that's what culture can help do. What history can help do, to show that history, you have to remember, look back at ancient history for a moment. Sappho, this beautiful poet who wrote wonderful poems 2,000 years ago. There's almost nothing left of it, fragments, but beautiful poetry about life and love and not about the military. She said the military is good for you, but not for me. And remember, the Greeks, every Greek hero and every Greek god had a family and children and male lovers. That was the highest. To have the male love was the highest traveling partner in bed with him. The woman took care of the kids. But the Greeks, and what happened to this Greek and the Romanians, the Romans, the Romulus, Catullus, the poet of Rome? What happened to them? Christianity came, and the Muslims came, and the Judaism came, and the religions came, and they didn't like sex at all, let alone homosex, and it disappeared. Our history belongs there. There's a film that we show sometimes. I don't have a chance to show it today because I want to show you another film if I have a chance. But it's called Wings. Wings was made 1916. Swedish film, culture and history. Does anyone know about this film? Have you ever heard of it? The Wings. A homosexual film director called Maurice Stiller made this film, 1916. It was a stum film without any voices. He's the one who took Greta Garbo to Hollywood when she was a teenager, and she stayed and he came back. Wings, they called it Wings because it was a statue. A sculptor was making a statue of a young naked man with a big eagle on top of his head. That's why the Wings came in. Ganymedes. He was a Greek youth, beautiful as anything. And Zeus fell in love with him, flew down to the earth as an eagle and took him up to heavens. This statue is here in Gothenburg. And if you come to Stockholm, it's in the harbor in Stockholm. The film made by a Swede called Wings because of the eagle's wings. The sculptor dies and the young boy is sad that he loses his friend. But it was the first gay film in history called Wings, Vingarna. A bit of Greek history, a bit of Swedish history, a bit of homo history. And if you watch people walking down in the harbor in Stockholm and they see this statue, they see, oh, this is horrible. It's a big bird coming down, jumping on this little boy. It's a love match. Zeus, the god, is coming down to earth to take up his beloved youth to the heavens for life everlasting. But most people don't know that history. Matter of fact, even some people wrote, this was a lovely film about Icarus. You know the myth of Icarus. He's the one who made wings out of feathers and wax and flew to the heavens and got too burned by the sun and he fell down to earth. That's not a homo history, but Ganymedes is. Our history is strong, is powerful, and we have many in the Nordic region. You know, you think the Nordic region is small population spread out over such a vast area from Greenland to Estonia to Latvia. We're so few, we don't have many candidates. We have many, many candidates, strong candidates. Tom of Finland. Who knows Tom of Finland? Most. Not all men do. Not all young men do. Some don't. Most women don't. But you have to remember Tom of Finland, a Finn, of course, started to draw gays early in his career. Very feminine, very disco babies. And then suddenly he started to draw more hunky men, a little bit stronger, a little bit beefer, a little bit more sexy. But most important, suddenly they weren't disco. Our time is up, is it? Okay. Do we have time for this other film? We have time for another film. I just want to say this. Tom of Finland did the unbelievable. Not only for Finland, not for Sweden, for the whole gay world. He made macho men instead of feminine hairdressers, flower sellers, into helicopter pilots, firemen, loggermen. He gave them a profession that was unbelievable. Nobody ever thought that a man could be a policeman. A gay couldn't be a policeman, a soldier. Yeah, Tom of Finland made people strong. And he did something else. He did this. Some of you are, I can see that you're far too young to know my history. But gays used to avoid each other. Oh, let's meet in the bushes. Don't look at me. Don't ask me my name. And Tom's men said, "Hello, Joe. What's your name?" And looked right at you. He gave people a dignity. Culture can give dignity, can give strength, can give democracy. I like you. Let's meet again. People didn't do that before. They didn't do that before. Tom of Finland. I want to show you another film. It's 5 minutes. Do we have time? Good people. Yes, we have it. Monuments. I want to say this before I denounce the Nordic area. I'm Swedish. I denounce the Nordic area because they're slow and shy. But Gothenburg is the first Nordic city planning to make an LGBT monument. I don't know how far they've come, but they're planning. All other cities say, "Oh, no, we don't want it. Oh, it's too much. Oh, I can't think of it. Why bother?" etc. We weren't occupied by the Nazis. Half the Nordic area was occupied by the Nazis. But the monument is much more than the Nazis. It goes back thousands of years when we were burned at the stake. Let me show you a film that we made, hoping that other cities would follow our suggestion. Are we ready for film number 2?
Beaten to death, silenced to death, in honor of the lesbians, gays, trans and bisexuals, harassed, discriminated, arrested, imprisoned, tortured, executed by the state, and murdered in the streets over the centuries, condemned by religious and political leaders and in the media, in Sweden, elsewhere in the Nordic region, and around the globe.
Just an example of what some of our colleagues have created, what others will create. Gothenburg will create also a monument. And we have to make sure, you people who are Gothenburgers, make sure that it isn't just a few years of Nazi occupation of Europe. It goes back much further. And if you saw that one camp in Spain, it's 10 years after Auschwitz was liberated. Franco was in power still. He didn't die with Hitler. And he said 10 years after Auschwitz, what a good idea. Why don't we have a concentration camp on the island of Fuerteventura? And he started a camp for gay men. Not women, because women escaped. Again, women are always escaping. Only for the idiot men who were caught in the bushes. And they went to this camp. It wasn't supposed to be a death camp, but if you died, that was your problem. You were only supposed to be there a few years. Hunger, disease, beaten up by the soldiers. If you died, you died. And then after 10 years, Franco got tired of it and they closed it down. Fuerteventura, if you're ever there on that island in the Canary Islands, they made a monument. You saw this monument. The LGBT people made a monument. It's to that camp, that's true. But we urge that all of these monuments, the angel that you saw in Frankfurt, is not just for 3 or 4 years. Not just for the Soviet time. Not just for the Franco time. It goes back to the millennium, when they used to burn us, hang us, murder us. Our history is rich, and you want to talk about our history, it is more dramatic than you've ever seen. I don't want to say anything about the heteros, but we got more drama, we got more blood, we got more violence than many, many people. And that's true. We have a seminar tomorrow at 6, if you're able to come, about Eastern Europe. They're still fighting like crazy against the police, against the regimes, against the neo-Nazis who live today in Georgia and Romania and Armenia and Russia and Belarus. They're really fighting, and we're working a little bit together with them. We're a very small organization. RFSL also has campaigns and projects with other people. But these are exciting, courageous people, and it's good to know them. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I just want to say this, history. Anybody, can I ask you one or two more people of history? It's a question. I was up in the north in Umeå a while back, speaking to a group of people, mostly women, because you see men are in the bushes or they're drinking beer. So it's mostly women who are interested in knowledge. And I said, do you know Thomas Finn? Oh, the women didn't know. Do you know Tove Jansson? Most didn't know because they were youngsters, young. Mumintroll, they knew Mumintroll, but they didn't know the name Tove Jansson, Finnish. She was a member of Tupilak her last years of her life when she finally came out, because Finland is a difficult place to come out. It's a bit more homophobic than other places like Denmark and Copenhagen and Oslo. But anyway, Tove Jansson came out towards the end of her life, riding this Mumintroll figure. Is anyone not familiar with the Mumintroll figures? Are you familiar with these figures? You know them? You know them. They're very strange creatures. Mumintroll has a little family, that's true, but almost all of the characters in his valley are very strange and never married and no children. They're quite homo, and some people have written, Australia, New Zealand, they've written master's degrees about that. Anyway, I was up in the north with these women, and I said, do you know Mumintroll? Yes, but not very well. And outside in the street, I went out of the street, was a bookshop. And in the bookshop, in the window, there were 3 pages, different pages of Donald Duck. Donald Duck up in Umeå? What is Donald Duck doing up in Umeå? To show that if you don't lift your own culture, somebody else will. And those who are promoting Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all the rest will promote it to that extent that we don't have a chance. And the truth is, Mumintroll is a fascinating creature, and all the characters in her valley. There's much of our history that is rich, and many people don't know it. I'll ask you another question. Do you know who wrote The Ugly Duckling? The Little Mermaid? Yes. Gay or not gay? Gay. Yes. But of course he didn't come out openly. Yes, he had a gay lover, several people there. But of course, you have to remember, until 1945, it was not possible for a cultural worker, for anybody. You saw this film of these two men who were having sex. You had to be very brave to have sex and tell the police to go to hell, let us alone in the bushes. But the same with all artists. Are you homo? No, you would be arrested. Arrested. Do you know the history with Selma Lagerlöf, who never came out, except 70 years after her death with her diary. When she had to present her speech for the Nobel Prize, you know that Selma got a Nobel Prize, first woman getting this Nobel Prize. She had 2 speeches ready. One said, "Thank you for this Nobel Prize, I happen to be a lesbian." The other said, "Thank you for this Nobel Prize, I'm a teacher," and that's it. And her friend said, "If you read the lesbian speech, you will be dismissed as a teacher. You'll never get anything published again. Your career will be destroyed. Don't do it." She didn't do it. She read, thank you for this Nobel Prize." Who wants to destroy their lives? Who wants to lose their identity? Who? Because that's how the legislation was. That's how the attitude was. So those people who did come out, who did fight, are really, really heroes, really strong personalities, fighting against legislation, opinion, mama and grandmother and grandfather, mostly grandfather. Not easy, not easy. That's why culture and history are rich and strong. And if we use it and we flourish with it, and we have in the future a lesbian in a wheelchair and a blind man as hero, then we're doing good work with our culture, and not just a young white male doing all the work and getting all the glory. We have to spread it out. And we need monuments like we saw there in the Nordic area. We need such monuments. I wonder if it's time for any questions, if you people have any questions. I don't know where our question people are. Oh, is it time for questions or too early?
You have 2 minutes left for questions, but let's start.
Okay, 2 minutes, please. Any questions?
No, I mean, you have 7 minutes. To
I have 7 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Look, the pressure is off. Does anyone have a question? A comment? A comment? Okay. Okay.
well, then I can. Oh, you have a question there? Yeah.
Yes.
I come up to you.
If you were the one to decide what kind of monument and where should it be?
I would suggest this. There should be a monument in every city in the Nordic region. Stockholm, Gothenburg is going to have one, but Umeå, every city. Why? Because we're in every city. We have always been in every city. There should be a monument where we can go, put a flower down, say a word or two, and say thank you to the people who came before us and the people who will come after us. Let me tell you what's happened in Berlin about monuments. The war comes. They make a monument of the victims. Okay. The Jews, oh no, it takes another 10 years, another 15 years. Okay, monument for the Jews. Gypsies, Roma, another 10 years. Another 10 years. Here's a monument. Puftas, LGBT, another 10 years. It's not automatic. You gotta fight. You gotta fight to make sure that you're visible and that you're part of society and you're just as important as everyone else. Maybe even more important, because we get more beaten up, we get more savaged, we get more ignored than even the others. Even the others. I think the LGBT people are the most beaten and suppressed and fought. We deserve a bigger monument than anybody else, is my point. Thank you. Another question, comment please, comment.
Okay, I have a question then.
Yes.
Where will the monument here in Gothenburg be raised?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I was in one or two discussions with people of Gothenburg, and my point was, don't concentrate only on the Nazi years, because that's not all of our history. And besides, Gothenburg wasn't occupied. Stockholm wasn't occupied. We were part of the war momentum and the suffering, that's true, but LGBT people, we're not small-minded. We have a history filled with blood and torture, imprisonment and life in prison. We have a long history going back to the Greeks. And we want a monument to say, look at you people, you have survived, you're here, you've done it, and you're not giving up. But where it is, I'm not sure how far they've come. How far, you people, it's hard for you to remember. But if you saw Amsterdam, there were some big triangles going out to the canal. And it was I don't remember the name. It was a lesbian architect or designer who made this. And she said, if I don't get the money to do it as I wish, I won't do it. So for years they fought. Can we do a little? Can we make can we do it a little bit smaller? Can we? Nope. You're gonna do it my way or no way. Okay. They got the money. They made it 3 pink triangles. One of them goes out to the canal. But it took a tough lesbian to say, you don't do it my way, you're not gonna do it at all. And today you saw flowers, flowers, flowers. People put flowers, they gather there. And tourists gather there. LGBT tourists gather. When they go, if you know where it is, if you know about it, you go there and you spend a minute or two with prayers and memories and then continue on your way. I think such monuments, and I think in Berlin, the monument for the Roma is terribly important. The monument for the Jewish people is terribly important. And the monument to all people who died in the war is important. But I'm saying we are also important. We also have to have, we shall not be ignored. May I mention one thing about, if I have a moment, about
Yes.
Auschwitz. The reason we came to Auschwitz is so that many concentration camps and many exhibitions about the concentration camps ignore us. They put a list. So many prisoners of war, so many Catholic nuns, so many priests, etc. We're not on the list. Not on the list at all. And I've been to 100 exhibitions. I go to Auschwitz. We visited Auschwitz, Tupilak, and there was a brochure. All the prisoners, all the categories, including LGBT. We said, you get a diploma from us. And we thought they would not accept it because it's Poland. They're at Poland. The head of the museum, a woman, said, please come and deliver this diploma to us. The next year we came with the diploma, and you saw our 2 women making music at the wall of execution. And we came with this diploma and gave it to the head of the museum. She was denounced by the Polish parliament. She was denounced by the Pope How can you let these LGBT people in there with their horrible message? Fire her. She wasn't fired. The next year we came again, she wasn't fired. It was a liberal government. Uh-oh, time is up. But I'm saying you had to fight, and she had to fight, and she got a diploma. A proud, strong museum boss said, I respect everyone who died here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this inspirational lecture. And I look forward to see you again.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 6 o'clock
Yes.
in the evening. And I will switch to Swedish now. Tack alla ni som har lyssnat också både på webben och ni som är här. Stanna gärna kvar efter lunch vid, vad kan det vara, 3:30 så kommer vi att ha ett nytt seminarium här om hur företag kan stärka demokratin genom att supporta hbtq-rättigheter. Så vi ses snart igen då. Hej så länge. Och tack igen, Bill.
I'm saying this. Thank you. You are very good. You're wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.